Well, welcome, George and Linda. So grateful to be speaking with you today.
Yes, as always, a real honor to be able to talk to you. Thank you so much for doing it.
And it feels like it's been far too long
It
since
does.
we've connected.
It does.
Oh, it feels forever since we've been with you two.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have to change that. Well, we obviously want to be respectful, and that if there is anything that you had that was fresh and new that you might want to share, we obviously will always have questions for you. But if there's something that you had in mind that you wanted to, a direction that you wanted to go into today, we'd be obviously all ears. So I want to at least open it up in that respect.
Was there anything that's on your mind that you would like to?
No.
Okay, great. You want to go, Angus?
You were taking a deep breath as if you were about to jump in. So
No, go ahead.
Well, I think one of the things that came up for me today, and that as always, any pearls of wisdom, and you're always filled with pearls of wisdom that might be helpful. And I thought that this might be helpful for our greater community. You know, most of them a lot of them are coaches anyway. Is the inside out nature of experience? A lot of people can be comfortable with that and can accept and understand that, and until it gets to the point where there's that one thing, that one external event or situation where, yeah, it doesn't hold water here. So quite often for me, that probably is something to do with someone has lost a member of the family, or they have a health issue that to them is pretty dramatic. And I find sometimes it's difficult for me to have that conversation about the inside out nature of experience when they will absolutely be in a situation where they will counter, yeah, but it doesn't hold water here. This has to be something on the outside that's affecting me, and they can't see the inside out nature of experience. So I guess I get a little bit uncomfortable having that conversation. And I guess my curiosity is in how experienced you are in coming up against that, how you would find yourself approaching that.
Well, I think that people feel the way they feel when they have, like, you're talking about more catastrophic events.
Yeah.
And people feel how they feel, and then they'll justify it by saying, well, I feel how I feel because it's a catastrophic event. The thing is, it doesn't matter in the sense that people feel how they feel. And I think the problem is that they either judge themselves for the way they feel, or they feel justified. It's not how they feel, it's justification, the righteousness, or the shame. I shouldn't feel this way. Well, the thing about it is, when you get neutral, when you go, well, I feel this way, it's the way I feel, it's just how I feel about it. And you're accepting and neutral about how you feel, that's the answer. Whether you should be more or less anxious or more or less upset, or it's not about what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. What's the problem for people is the justification or the should. So it's like, it's such a freedom to be able to go, yeah, I just feel this way about this situation. My thinking about the situation is how I feel about it, the end. And not get into a lot of thinking about how not a lot of thinking about it.
Right.
That makes sense.
It does make sense. It makes me realize that in the past, when I've felt uncomfortable, it's almost like I feel like I have to have a counter to that justification.
Yeah.
And really, it's okay for them to feel exactly how they feel, and just be, and for me to be comfortable in that too, and to sit with that and be present to that. But I guess maybe I have got uncomfortable when they get to that point of justification, to feel like, yeah, I've got to somehow counter it, like I say.
Or they don't want to feel the way they feel.
Yeah.
And they judge themselves for being overly emotional, or whatever they would, how they would criticize themselves for how they feel. That's the issue.
I love the word you used, Linda, about freedom, because for me, there is such a freedom in being able to just be with experience and let it be. And I think that's one of the things that you really helped me to experientially know was okay inside of myself, that, even if my mood drops or I'm feeling anxious or whatever it might, my experience might feel uncomfortable, but it doesn't mean anything about me. I don't need to do anything to fix it. Like, that feels really freeing. I mean, it feels really comforting on some level to me as well, to not have to fix anything.
Yeah. It is comforting.
Yeah, Rahini seemed to have some sort of massive insight from the moment that she met you on that level. It took me a long time, and I still feel like there's plenty of room to me to have an insight in that way, that there is that inclination in me to sort of like, yeah, I shouldn't be feeling like this, or I need to fix this. I want to get back to being comfortable. And I think that's definitely, there's room for me to grow there without any shadow of a doubt for me. Like, you all see something at a way deeper level than I do. Maybe I'm just I think I have a real attachment to comfort, and I judge discomfort.
Well, nobody wants to be uncomfortable. We all want to be comfortable. And, sometimes when we're not comfortable, we really suffer. We really suffer with fear or anxiety or emotional pain, disappointment. We can really suffer. But I think the problem, again, is we make suffering wrong.
Right.
And there are times you just suffer. You just suffer, and it's okay.
Damn.
It's because it's like, I remember years ago, I had this insight that around this issue. It was so funny to me. Years ago, I had this insight where I realized that I had made up it sounds silly to me now, but I had made up an agreement with God that I was only going to have good experiences. So that when I would have bad experiences, I would get really upset and feel like God wasn't doing his part of the agreement. And then I realized I made that up. I made it up. That I had this agreement with something that wasn't like God and I made this agreement. I made it. It was totally made up on my part. And I got the biggest giggle from that. Because sometimes you do suffer with your emotions,
Right.
You just do.
Yeah. I think that so Rahini made that comment about it just feels so liberating. And when I hear that comment, it's like, oh, am I going to be liberated from suffering in the way that I'm suffering? So like an example would be, I still have fear of public speaking. And yet here I am doing this job that necessitates me doing all this frigging public speaking. And I still get nervous about it. And I don't like that feeling of discomfort going into teaching a class or whatever it is. So Rahini's going away. She has to go to London today, actually. And so I'm going to have to carry the can for some of the things that she normally does next week, which means I'm going to have to get in front of a group of people. And I only have so much bandwidth in my mind about how much suffering I can put up with at that level. And so yesterday I had a little bit of a hissy fit yesterday morning because I have to go and teach a group at the treatment center a couple of times a week. And I still get nervous about it because there's always going to be a new bunch of people. And my hissy fit yesterday was like, why am I doing a job where I have to have this experience of suffering all the time? Yeah. And yet Rahini seems to see it in a way where, yeah, that's it's okay to suffer. It's like, it's fine. but I don't like it. And, I teach the group and it's fine, but I don't like that experience leading up to it.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how we liberate ourselves from suffering. That's what I'm not getting.
You're looking at me like I have the answer.
Well, no, but the liberation is in the acceptance. It's like you accept it, and then you get quiet with it and you take it with you.
Yeah.
Like you would
Not
take,
suffering with suffering.
so you are suffering, but take it with you and you go do what you need to do.
Yeah. I haven't
But the
quite
thing is,
managed to transcend that.
but the thing is, Angus, if it's not like if you don't want to suffer, if you don't like public speaking and don't want to suffer, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
In other words, you could say, doing public speaking anymore. I mean, it's like,
It is an interesting experience, because actually when I'm speaking, I'm fine. When I'm actually there and I've got going, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's sometimes the sheer terror beforehand
Yeah.
that I don't like.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the world of a human being.
Right. I would like to just adjust that one little area of being human so it was more palatable and comfortable.
But the adjustment is what gets you suffering. They're trying to adjust.
Everybody's in that boat that you're in. Everybody would like to go, I don't want this experience. I would be okay, except I don't want this one. Everybody's in that boat. We're all in that boat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether the experience is anxiety, fear, disappointment, and name one.
Depression, any of them.
Jealousy. I mean, you just name one. And it's interesting because if people would get together and talk about it, they go, well, I don't care if I'm jealous. I have jealous moments. I could care less about it. And another, really? I hate it with a passion. And other people, it's like, I hate the experience of fear. I'm frightened all the time. I hate it. And the other, oh, well, I get frightened. I don't really care if I'm frightened.
Yeah.
So, it's everybody's different. It's
Yeah.
you have what you have. And the answer is to just, in my world, the answer is just to get quiet with it. Get quiet with it.
Yeah.
Because
you
it comes into you like a fog. The experience, it comes onto you like a fog, like fog moving in. And you go, oh God, here it comes. I hate that experience. And then instead of fighting it, you just go, okay. You sit with it. You be with it.
Yeah.
Quietly.
Yeah.
And then it's gone. Yeah.
See, the question is, the key is to be graceful.
Yeah. It's to be graceful.
That's the key.
Yeah. That's being graceful with the experiences that you don't like.
Yeah.
Or gracious.
Gracious. Yeah.
You're gracious with the experience. You're gracious. In a way, it's the opposite of what you want to do. You want to fight and struggle.
Yeah.
But being gracious is you just invite them in for tea.
I like that. And I do have a tendency, and maybe this is just being human as well, is to get fully sped up in those situations. That is my resistance to it. It doesn't even occur to me. Well, sometimes it does on my better days. It's like I need to, to contemplate getting quiet here rather than.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, Angus, everybody fights their experience that they don't like. Everybody does, until they have the realization that it doesn't work. It makes it work.
Oh, yeah.
See, and then when the realization, oh, this just makes it worse, to fight it. And you do the opposite, which does not make sense. It does not make sense to invite it in for tea.
It does not.
But the thing is, it works.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's because that's what George is talking about, is being gracious.
Yeah.
Or graceful.
Yeah. So the next time I have to speak at a public on a public occasion, it's like, it's tea time.
tea
I
time.
started to get upset.
Time, come on. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
And it's really funny, like you were saying, Linda, how some people can have fear of sadness and other people like, I'm fine with that. Like what's funny between you and I, Angus, is I don't tend to dwell on things ahead of time, but I find it harder to rise to the occasion in the moment and get present. I'm more anxious in the moment, and you are amazing in the moment. You drop in, you're open-hearted, you're real, you're authentic. You just have a whole lot more worrying ahead of time than I do.
Well, I think it's such a relief that it is not as bad as I thought it was going to be in my mind beforehand. When I worry about it.
See,
I do have
Angus,
a tendency to have an obsessive mind.
well, Angus, if you would just see and understand about yourself that ahead of time, you get anxious and you get worried and you get intense about it. And that's what you do. You go, oh, what I do is anxious, intense, worried, and then I'm fine. If you saw that and just accepted that that was what you did and didn't think about it, you'd be fine.
Yeah. 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 Well, I guess it's still, it's a work in progress for me because but I absolutely hear and
No,
so
but what
appreciate.
I'm saying, Angus, is not try to change yourself. I'm saying,
Yeah.
see how you go about it, not trying to change yourself.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Wow.
is the trying to change yourself is getting in the way. You just, oh, this is what I do. I get really intense and worried and anxious before I talk, and then I'm great. I rise to the occasion, and you see it happen every single time. So you know yourself and go, this is just what I do.
Okay. Yeah. And then the mistake that I've been making is I've been trying to eliminate that discomfort. That has to go away. So it's perfect.
Oh, you just anticipate, oh, this is what I do.
Right.
I used to be that way when I flew. When I was waiting to board the plane, I get really anxious and really intense. And then as soon as I got on the plane, I was fine. And so I started to see that that was my pattern. So that, and when I was waiting to get on the plane, it was just like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a shit show of anxiety. And then I'll be fine. So I stopped thinking about it. And then it stopped.
And then it got easier. It stopped.
It got better because I stopped fighting it. I stopped thinking about it. I just saw what my pattern was and I just accepted it.
Right.
See, acceptance is the cure.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a different experience. And that's what you helped me with, Linda. When we had our first intensive together, I had all this anxiety and insecurity around, I think, public speaking as well at that time. And I felt such a shift within myself, realizing that there was nothing wrong with me. Like that's what you really helped me to see, that there wasn't anything wrong with me, that I had that level of intensity and anxiety, and that it didn't mean anything about me, and it was okay. And that was enough. It didn't make the anxiety go away right away, but I didn't freak out about the anxiety. I had the sensations of it, but I just didn't worry about it because I wasn't making it mean that I was less than or unworthy. And so then I was able to be more present, and then I started to enjoy it more. And now I have much less of that anxiety ahead of time, if any, really.
Yeah, I remember you got really high.
I did. And I got a speeding ticket because I was speeding in La Conner after getting so high.
At like 30 miles per hour or something.
30 miles an hour.
Yeah. You just really got out of yourself. You just and had a great time, I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like such a weight was lifted off of my mind because I had been for years focusing on trying to improve myself. Like there's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough. I need to use the spiritual understanding to improve myself. And you basically said, no, that's not it.
Yeah, no, in her own way, she realized there was nothing wrong with how she was. And I think, Angus, to the extent that you can realize there's nothing wrong with you, that because you get anxious ahead of time there's nothing wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
But that may not be what you need to realize. Maybe what you just need to realize is that sometimes people suffer, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess I try to help my clients to see that there's nothing wrong with them. And yet, again, here I am, obviously exhibiting traits where that's exactly what's going on. I do think the anxiety has its roots.
What I'm saying is maybe that's not the insight you need. I don't know what the insight you need is. And I don't know that you know what the insight you need is. In other words, it may not be the insight that there's nothing wrong with you. That may not be the insight that you need. Or it may not be the insight that it's okay to suffer. That may not be the insight. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess I got to get quiet. Got to have a few tea ceremonies.
I don't know what the insight, but there's some insight where you're just gonna go, oh, I get it.
Yeah. It does feel like there's some sort of, the anxiety has its roots in feeling like, oh, I'm going to be found out, that I'm gonna be seen as a fraud.
You are going to be found out if you put out this recording.
Say that again.
Well, you are going to be found out if you put out this recording.
Right. I know, exactly. Look, I'm completely throwing myself under the bus here in front of our community, but yes, with good intent. Absolutely.
Nothing to worry about. Yeah.
No, exactly. No, I've got good at doing that, I think, for sure. I mean, I think that is certainly, that's when it starts to feel like I'm on the right track. If I can get in front of a group of people and be myself and be vulnerable. Generally, that's, well, yeah, oh, this was all worth it. That anxiety now makes it feel like it was all worthwhile.
Well,
But it is, that's, go ahead, George, I'm sorry.
Because I'm blown away at how much you developed. I mean, it's amazing to me. You're a proper seminar leader. And you changed your profession. So you're absolutely a proper seminar leader and a proper counselor.
Yeah, I guess I have to own that. I think that that seemed extraordinary to even contemplate that could even be remotely attaching itself to any sense of truth when I met you both, and you both have changed my life so radically that I feel so much gratitude and love towards you, because I never saw it. I could never see it. And I somehow managed to hang in there. And I guess now, today I have to say, yeah, I am a counselor, I am a coach, and I have clients, and it's going really damn well.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see it. And there's still, and the part of it was that terror that, I just don't have the chops to do this. I don't have the wherewithal to do this. It was a real lack of confidence and insecurity that I couldn't get in front of people.
But the thing is, even with that sense of lack of confidence and insecurity, you show up and do a good job.
Yeah.
See, that's what you got to look at. You got to look at.
I mean, how many people can change professions the way you did and get away with it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Right. And sometimes I feel like I'm getting away with it too.
Well, no, but actually the definition of courage is not, not having fear. The definition of courage is people that have fear and go ahead and do it anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have a lot of courage.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do.
Yeah. And I guess that I've kind of got a little hung up on the anxiety I feel before I have to really face the music.
But in spite of anxiety, you go and do it anyway. That's courage.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's very cool to have courage. A lot of people let their fear stop them from living their life or stop them from doing things. And you don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
See?
Yeah. I guess I do a lot of belly aching to you. I want to blame Rohini for it on my worst days. It's your fault.
It's all my fault for dragging you into this work.
Yeah. No, but it's amazing. And it's amazing too to do the work and to help people. And then really, yeah, I'm absolutely helping myself here. I'm on this journey. We're all on this journey together. And
Yeah.
what I'm helping my clients with, I'm absolutely having to address that for myself too. Like today, as a case in point, you know, that I feel like Rahini has such a strong insight that, you know, that I hadn't quite got to that point of acceptance or surrender, that this is all okay. And that I was judging this anxiety as like, yeah, I really don't want this. I want to eliminate this so I can have a better human experience doing this work.
But the thing is, it's like, it's the expectations are killers. See, it's the I expect to be this way, or I expect to be that way. You have to look at that, expectations. If you didn't have an expectation, or people didn't have expectations about how they were supposed to be, they wouldn't worry about it and think about it. It's I expect, like when I go back, I expected to not have bad experiences. That was my expectation. Oh, I don't want bad experiences. I only signed up for good experiences.
Yeah.
But see, it's the expectation.
Yeah.
The expectations, then people aren't just, see, expectation and disappointment go together. You take away expectation, you don't have disappointment. And you just have the experiences that you have, and you go, yeah, this one doesn't feel good, but you don't have an expectation about how you're supposed to be.
Yes, I definitely have high expectations from myself in those moments where I have to get up and teach. And yeah, it would be good to let that go.
Yeah, like you were saying, Linda, how those expectations, like your agreement with God was made up. Like I'm seeing as you're saying this, like, oh yeah, all these expectations I have on myself are all made up. They're not real. They're just what I've told myself I have to do, or I should be.
Yeah. I told myself.
Yeah. That's what Nicholas used to say.
I told myself. Our grandson would say, I told myself. It's so cute. I told myself that this was going to happen. Yeah, well, did anybody else tell you that? No.
That's brilliant.
I told myself.
Yeah.
It's our imagination. You know, our imagination can get away from us. Oh, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that in terms of I have to be good or do well, or in my mind, or else bad things are going to happen. Like if I don't present as a certain way, if I don't feel good about how I do it, then that's going to feel bad. I don't want that to happen.
And yeah, and I find myself obsessing and getting into sort of future fantasy about all the things, all the pitfalls that I might encounter that will amount to discomfort. So I'm on this sort of process of how can I eliminate discomfort, and that's probably where I get anxious about public speaking.
Well,
I'm imagining
that's a lot of work.
it's so much work. Yeah. But I think I've had a proclivity, and this is what's beautiful about this understanding, because it's certainly helped. But I think I still have, you know, a lot of years of that kind of way of being, habitually obsessing on things that look like they're going to be uncomfortable, so I can avoid that experience.
Tell us what you and Rahini are up to.
What are you up to these days?
Yeah.
So what are we up to? We've got our community that's been going now for 3 years that we just love participating in.
There's quite a lot of people in it.
Yeah, I think, about 100 people or so in it. And then we're doing couples retreats that I love working with Angus on the couples retreats, and just they're just really beautiful to be able to support people have less, I guess, less suffering in their humanness and how they interact with each other in their humanness, and more freedom and love together. So that's really meaningful. And I've been doing some individual intensives, and you're doing the treatment center.
Yeah. And then there's the Rewilding Guide training program.
Oh yeah, we have our practitioner training program that's finishing up in March.
Now, how's the treatment center going, Angus?
The treatment center is still going. I think that it's getting to a point where Rohini's sort of suggesting that maybe I could scale back and just do 1 day a week and not go in on the weekends. I do go in on a Saturday, so that takes up, a portion of the weekend. It's going well. I mean, I think it's a great place for me, apart from anything else, for me to learn how to become a better coach and facilitator. And that I do have to go and teach a class there. I do one-on-ones, but I do teach a class every, twice a week. And so that has me come up against my anxiety, but I've become a better speaker, no two ways about it. I'm much more comfortable getting in front of a group of people.
Yeah.
And then the discomfort of having someone who might be, one of the naysayers who might have an axe to grind with what I have to share. And those off, every now and again, someone crops up. So I would probably crumble in the face of that in the past, and now I'm much more confident. I think that maybe I'm getting a bit greedy about trying to eliminate the fear and anxiety beforehand, but I've certainly improved, and it's been really helpful. And I guess it's a great way for me to learn. It's also I could get clients from there too as well.
One thing that helped me that I realized is that when I did the London conference and I was talking in front of, I don't know how many, 800 people or however many they had at that. When I went up, because I was nervous about the numbers, I was fine talking with 50 people. I was not talking,
Right.
but 800 people, then it clicked in, and which I thought was kind of funny. And then I had this realization that I was really just talking to myself.
Mm.
And it's true. You're really just talking to yourself.
This is what you told yourself.
So when I got up, I started talking, and it was like I was talking to myself.
Yeah.
Mm.
And how can you be nervous talking to yourself?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Because I was telling people what I wanted to know. I was telling people what I had learned that was helpful to me. So I was talking in a way that was universal. Because what helps you helps other people. Because the principles are universal. The principles aren't about any one person, they're about all of us. So as you're talking about the principles and the ways that they've helped you through insight, you're talking to yourself.
Yeah, I can see
Go
it.
wrong talking to yourself.
Yeah, I can see that when I teach those groups at the treatment center, that the times where it goes really well is that I am kind of thinking out loud in a way, searching for something.
Yeah, you're thinking out loud, because it was really beautiful because I just started talking, and I was essentially what you just said. I was thinking out loud about what had helped me and what I had learned from Sid.
Yeah.
I'd learned from life and what I'd learned from George. So I was just talking out loud, and it was fun.
Yeah. And then it's really fresh and in the moment. And I think that's probably one of the things that they appreciate at the treatment center, the residents, is that I think a lot of perhaps maybe this is unfair, but I suspect that the other modalities that are there, the other therapists and counselors, they're not going to share their personal stories. In fact, I know that perhaps there's an agenda actually that, that's wrong to share your personal story. And here am I just like laying it all out for everybody to see. I'm getting naked in front of everybody, sharing things that are deep and meaningful to me.
Well,
but
people like that. Like, I didn't realize the first time I said, well, yeah, that scares me too. They go, it scares you too. It's like that was huge. Because see, my client thought I didn't get scared. Because I did the principles, therefore I wouldn't get scared. And it's like, it was huge for me to tell them, well, yeah, me too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it creates common ground where everybody can, we're all kind of here to learn together. That's what I really appreciated, actually, that time where Rahini introduced me to you guys, and I came to the February training, that first February training, other than doing, you know, I had done the intensive with George, you and Rahini. And then I came to that February training, and I remember at the beginning, and I will never forget this, because I think that I had done various other workshops in the past, and it felt like there was such a hierarchy to it. Here we are, here are the teachers, we're on stage, you are, you know, you are the audience, you are here to learn. Obviously, we're all here to learn. But I remember George saying that, you know, we're on stage, but we want to just say this right off the bat, that we want a very collegial atmosphere here. We're all here, we're students together. And I thought, yes, that's new. I haven't heard that before in one of these experiences. And I just see that so clearly, that even yesterday when I did the group at the treatment center, it's kind of like, yeah, maybe I'm sitting at the front of the group, but we have a whiteboard and we talk about a topic and then we explore it. But it was kind of like people were jumping out and getting the pen. It's like, can I add to this illustration that we're doing here? And like, it's great where there is this sort of collegial atmosphere about it. I mean, I guess wisdom is wisdom. I don't know any more than the next person on that front.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I respected about Sidney Banks. He leveled the playing field. So before I met him, I thought I was better than other people, and I was wrong about that. But it leveled the playing field.
Yeah.
And it did a lot for me to level the playing field. I mean, that was huge.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I so see that. And yeah, and I think that I had, for all the workshops that you dragged me to and all the things that I had done, USM included, is like there was always a sense there's a hierarchy to this.
Yeah.
That I always kind of didn't like. I thought it's so refreshing to sort of hear you say that beginning of that weekend.
Yeah.
That there is this level playing field.
And there's something beautiful about learning together as well, being in the conversation together and learning from each other.
Yeah. Well, so what are you guys up to? Let me direct that question towards you.
Well, let's see, what are we up to? We are, we have our mentorship programs. We're just finishing one up. And then looking forward to the pro training in February.
Yeah.
And George has a couple books that are about to.
The metaphor book.
Well, he has this metaphor book that's recently published, and then he has 2 other books that should come out soon.
Amazing.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah. And what else are we doing?
But the metaphor book's already
out.
Yeah, we have
that.
We have a copy.
Yeah,
it's
we've
wonderful.
got that already.
Yeah.
And then let's see, what else are we up to?
And then the other thing that we're doing is, I think we're doing a presentation on the metaphor book for 1,000 people.
Amazing.
Fantastic. When are you doing that?
I think it's, hey, Terry. Oh, gee. Hey, Terry, when do we do that presentation to that large number of people?
On the metaphor.
On the metaphor book, I think it's next week.
Next week.
Oh,
Yeah,
next
but
week,
My
soon.
goodness.
Oh, but it's not a live thing.
No,
Okay.
so I don't know when he'll release it.
So we don't know when he'll release it.
Ah, all right.
Oh.
We were. This is an exclusive for us.
Yeah.
And then, let's see, what else? I'm doing some recordings for 3 Principles Global Community for new practitioners. And then we have Terry and Jen, God bless them and God love them. have taken all of our material over the years and distilled it down to a practitioner's online course.
Oh, fantastic.
Amazing.
We're gonna have a practitioner's online course
Fantastic.
launch this spring.
Brilliant.
That's great.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
See, what else are we doing? I
And
know
are you helping out with the Almond Tree Foundation, Linda? Did I hear that?
that's the other thing I've been doing is the Almond Tree Foundation, but I gotta talk to Claire because we did it.
Okay.
We did all these recordings and drop-in groups. And I don't know, and that ended, and I'm not sure what's next, if there's anything next
Right.
for Almond Tree. I don't know if that's ended or not. I have to get with them.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's exciting. Look forward to the new books coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our daughter got accepted to Evergreen, which is in Olympia, not too far from Seattle.
Now, which one?
Oh,
The youngest one?
oh yeah, the youngest one. Yeah, Ashana.
You know, Terry, and when does she start?
September.
So Terry's daughter, Chloe, goes to Evergreen.
Oh, amazing.
And she started this September.
Okay.
So maybe they could get together.
Yeah, because Ashana's going in at the second year level because she's done community college. So that'd be great. I'll check in with Terry.
Yeah. And Chloe, I think, went in as a freshman. So they'll be,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like a wonderful school.
Yeah. Well, I also wanted to say thank you to both of you for just the impact that you've had on my life, our lives, our relationship. You know, really, it's been so amazing and continues to just get even better.
Well, you guys look just great.
Oh, thank
You
you.
have so much vitality, and I mean, you're doing great.
yeah.
By
Thank
George
It's
Pransky's.
it's wonderful to hear all the things you're doing and all the work you're getting and how successful you are. That is music to our ears.
Well, we appreciate all of the mentoring and support. And Angus and I are, after this coaching program finishes, we're going to focus on our book. So we're looking forward to that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We'll
Now,
see.
what are you going to London for? Are you going for work or?
Well, no, my father died 2 days ago, so I'm going for the
Oh.
funeral. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. And I actually am really grateful because he had pancreatic cancer, and I booked a ticket to go this Sunday with the girls to visit him, and his health started to decline. So I went like a week ago, and I got to see him when he was still conscious. And it was really clear to me that the sooner he went, the better, based on the level of suffering. So I'm just so grateful that I got to see him and spend that time with him. Yeah. So that's why Angus has to hold the bag next week, because I said I don't want to do the groups.
So I have absolutely no right to have a hissy fit based on all that Rahini is having to go through at the moment. So anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could spend a whole day waxing lyrical about you two. I mean, I think you have radically changed my life, and
Well,
I'm
that's
so
kind
appreciative.
of you to say that.
Yeah,
Angus.
I mean
Very
it.
kind of you to say that.
Yeah. So you will always have a very special place in my heart.
Yeah. Well, it's true. It's true. Yeah. And our relationship and the work that we do, it's all
Who thought I mean, that's a miracle in itself that Rahini and I are working together.
After I dragged you to that intensive in
That's
the corner
right.
with George, and you
Yeah.
told George that I wasn't allowed to sit in on the first session.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think we even got summoned to the principal's office, one of those February trainings, where I thought, well, this isn't going to work out.
Well, you gotta admit that I did see the promise in you.
Yes.
Well, I couldn't see. You saw it. I certainly couldn't.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
I fought you on that as well.
I saw the promise, and
Yeah.
well, I followed it.
Well, thank you. As I
Yeah.
say, really, I
Yeah.
feel so appreciative and grateful for you both. role that you played in my life.
Well, tell me just a little bit about the what did you call it? What did you say? The program you're doing for.
You mean in the for the drug rehab center?
Yeah.
Well, he's teaching classes and seeing people one-on-one.
Yeah, you know, the thing that's amazing about that is that it started off as Broadbeach, and I know that, as you know, you were heavily involved, and it was going to be this 3 principal treatment center, and you know, for whatever reason, that didn't evolve in the way that everybody hoped it would, and then after a year, they got bought out by the Meadows, who are very much, you know, they're pretty famous codependent trauma facility. That's kind of how they build themselves.
Yeah.
And here I am flying the flag of the principals, doing my thing week in, week out. And I can only assume that, you know, the residents have to fill in a form saying what they feel about their experience. And I can only assume that I get good numbers, because I should have been out of my ear probably 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Based
That's right.
on
Yeah, they got the clients like you, so they keep you.
Yeah.
So that's basically how I have to see it. So because I'm not necessarily, you know, pointing in the same direction as the Meadows and their philosophy. So that, I think, in itself is interesting. I think obviously I'm pointing to truth in a way that is perhaps unusual to the modalities that are on offer there. But so
you're not the only one, Angus. I know Mark Howard, he was working at Stanford in their psychiatric unit doing the principles, and he just got away with it because everybody liked him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the staff liked him.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a big party for him when he retired. It was like they liked him. And I don't think they cared or interested in what he did. It's just that he.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it feels the sort of same at the treatment center. You know, they have a kind of like the hierarchy has sort of been coming together over the last couple of years. I haven't even sat down with the director yet and sort of explained what I do. She's perfectly nice, and, you know, we exchange pleasantries in the corridor, but she's never sat me down and asked me, you know, like, what are the 3 principles? What is this all about? But nevertheless, here I am still doing it, and obviously it's making an impact. It has to. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm up to with that program.
But it's interesting what the clients must think, because they get one thing from you and the opposite from someone.
Yeah.
Interesting. Have you ever asked them?
Ask the clients.
How do they navigate the difference in perspective?
Yeah, you know, some will actually like come over to my side of the fence, and some will go, you know, drink the Kool-Aid on you know what the Meadows are pointing to. But for the most part, I feel like, for the way that I show up and the way that I talk to them, I think that the one thing that really makes an impact is, like, I'm not sitting with someone who's broken. I make that abundantly clear from the get-go. Yeah. I don't want you to feel like you're broken, that you have this incurable disease, and that you see yourself that way. So automatically, I'm kind of sort of like leveling the playing field and treating them like a human being, and sharing my own stories too, and then weaving in the principles and pointing to this understanding. And I guess my confidence around it is like, yeah, I am sharing something that is a fundamental truth, and on some level they're hearing that. And for all the other things that they may be hearing in that treatment facility, I think that there's something really beautiful that's landing about what's being pointed to. And I think that they can't argue with.
And there's something that you said to me that actually is really helpful for them. Something you've said, feedback that you've got, is that because a lot of the work they do is looking at trauma and healing trauma. So one of the exercises is a trauma timeline. And so with the understanding, there's greater perspective, so they can go through that experience with it being less traumatic to do a trauma timeline, because they're able to look at it from a more neutral vantage point rather than getting into the pain and suffering of it. They can kind of see it more neutrally. And also have the benefit of being witnessed by others in that experience. So I thought that was profound.
Yeah.
And they must like what you're doing, Angus,
Yeah.
because you've been doing quite a long time.
Yeah. It's been 3 years now. I was
Yeah.
fully expecting when the Meadows took it over to, that I would be out on my ear.
That's what I thought. I thought that'd be the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Who knew?
So yeah, so like I'm infiltrating into their system.
Meadows Network. Well, thank you so much for your time today. We're so grateful. And we unfortunately have our training the weekend of the pro training. I did talk to Angus about going up there anyway ahead of time. We'll see.
Getting a Zoom from the hotel.
Yeah,
room.
doing the Zoom
Guess we
from the
could do
hotel.
that.
So we'll see. Angus is always the more practical party of that.
I don't, or the scaredy cat. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it was wonderful being with you as well.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have a
I
wonderful
can't
rest of your
believe
day.
how the two of you have developed. You're like different people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, have
Thank you,
safe
George
travel.
and Linda.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Love and adore you as always. Thank you
Take
so
care.
much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.